Thank you for listening to BizPod with me, Paul.
And me, Rachel.
Our weekly business English podcast where we talk about the news, social media, and hot topics from a business point of view. You'll get a podcast and links to the articles we discuss. This way you can share your thoughts too. Join us as we discuss what's on our minds this week.
Well, we have some shocking news, don't we, for our little recording this week?
Are you talking about England losing the football match?
No.
What are we talking about then?
You knew England was going to lose the football match.
That's true. So what are we talking about? Are we talking about any chance about the assassination attempt on former President Trump?
We are indeed. Okay. Yes. What did you think when you first heard the news, Paul?
Well, I don't know. I think anything like that is a terrible thing to happen to anybody. You know, who wants to be assassinated or have someone try and shoot them? Yeah. It's a horrible thing.
Although they do say, what is the saying? If they're shooting at you, you're doing something right. But when it comes to Trump, I don't know. I'm not a Trump fan. I would question that. But I agree with you. Nobody deserves to that shouldn't happen to anybody.
No. Absolutely nobody deserves that. I mean, does that include Hitler, for example?
You can't go back in time. You can't make a comparison because, but no, okay. Hitler wasn't part of democracy.
Okay, that's true. Okay. So in a democracy that we like to think we live in, politicians should not be assassinated.
No, I mean, if somebody disagrees with the views of the politician, you should, voice your opinion in a different way, not by just shooting the competition. That's not right. But America has a history of it. I mean, you don't have it happening in the UK because basically we don't have guns.
Yeah.
I think if we did have guns, it would happen in the UK too.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, Nigel Farage would be in trouble.
We were listening to The Rest is Politics.
The emergency pod.
Yeah, and Alistair Campbell had an interesting anecdote which he shared, which was he was travelling with the then Prime Minister Tony Blair in America, and they were discussing. He was involved in a discussion about presidential security, president protection. Yeah, and apparently, I don't know this, but apparently there are perhaps hundreds of Secret Service personnel that are responsible for the protection of the president at any given time. He is surrounded by hundreds of people. Our Prime Minister, the UK Prime Minister, maybe has one or two people protecting them. And Alistair said that the security guy for the UK Prime Minister was in the room when the Secret Service were explaining how they protect the president. Yeah. And apparently this guy just turned around and said, well, yeah, but we've never lost one.
Yeah, and why have we never lost one? Because they don't have guns. You cannot get a gun or... Well, you can be part of a rifle club, can't you? But you have to go through so many checks and whatever. And I know from family experience that the police have to come round and check that you've got a proper gun cabinet and that it's all locked up away. If you are a farmer who has guns, there's so many controls and checks. Yeah. The normal person in the street cannot go to a gun shop,
just buy a
present
gun.
ID and buy a gun.
No, that's true.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. But also, in America, well, we don't have the same political sort of, I don't know.
Extremism
that you have in America. I mean, in America, you either identify yourself as a Republican or a Democrat. Maybe there are some people who don't identify as either, but the majority of people either say I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat.
They wear it like a badge of honour, don't they? Whereas if you ask a British person about politics, traditionally, you don't talk about it. Even in families, you don't know who your dad votes for. You just don't discuss it. It's not part of the discussion, around the table.
Yeah, I suppose so.
It's something that's private and personal and doesn't get discussed.
Generally, yeah. I mean, I suppose that's the old traditional way. I mean, nowadays that may have changed nowadays, but even so, I mean, even if it is, you know, something that's discussed, I don't think we feel that the other side is the enemy. You know, we can disagree and think, well, you know, the Conservatives have done such a bad job for the past 14 years, so let's not vote for them. But we don't necessarily think that because we've not voted for that party that they are the enemy. No. There are some extremes. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, there always are in all society. Yeah. But I mean, let's talk about, because this is business, we should be talking about, let's talk about the job of being a president. Would you want to be a prime minister in the UK, president in America? In America, you're going to have all them Secret Service around you. You've got the risk of somebody trying to assassinate you.
Yeah. And it is a risk.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the history. We've got a fantastic article actually from Sky News that gives you a list of the US presidents and candidates who escaped death and also some who didn't. And my gosh, the list is
endless.
Wow, yeah. Ronald Reagan, Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, Andrew Jackson. I'm having a look.
James Garfield. Never heard of him.
No. William McKinley.
Never heard of him.
No, I've heard of President McKinley.
Have you?
Yeah.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the famous one is JFK.
Yeah. I think it seems to be a rite of passage for American presidents for there to be an assassination attempt.
Yeah, and there is that whole lovely mystery of Lee Harvey Oswald and the smoking gun and the
the JFK assassination. Yeah.
Which I've got a book on, haven't I? Which is quite interesting. Robert Kennedy, he got shot as well. George Wallace.
Gerald Ford.
Yeah.
And then Reagan. I remember the Reagan
one.
Assassination attempt.
Yeah.
I think he got shot 2 or 3 times, didn't he, by a handgun? How did anyone get close enough to shoot him with a handgun?
Look at this. George W. Bush had a hand grenade hurled at him.
Wow. Okay. See, I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that.
It happens so often in America that a hand grenade being thrown at you is not something you remember.
No. If you disagree with somebody's political views, you should stand up and argue them in a debate.
Yeah. Not try and kill them.
No.
But this is America. I mean, you said let's talk about the business or the job. What is the job of American president? Do you have any idea?
No.
No,
in truth.
No. The only thing I know is from watching West Wing.
Yeah.
But
is West Wing a representation of the truth?
No, of course.
We don't know.
It's a fiction. But if you look at West Wing, the president doesn't seem to have much power or authority.
Well, I think he's basically putting his name on the line that they bring you certain things. Well, we want to do this, and he signs off. He's the guy who's going to take the flak because he's the one who makes the decision in which direction they go in. Maybe, I don't know. But is he the one, or is he or she the one who makes those decisions? Because I think sort of Congress seems to have more power and authority than a president. They again, from West Wing, they talk about checks and balances. The three levels of government: the executive, the legislative, and the other one, which is the Supreme Court's judicial.
The judicial. So those are the 3 arms of government in America. I mean, I think we have a similar thing in the UK.
Well, there's another interesting podcast from Rest is Politics that I listened to. It's actually the leading one where it's the guy from the civil service. Mm-hmm. And he talked about the main difference between working in the American political system and the British political system, that when a new politician is elected, new prime minister in the UK, all the civil service, the people who do all the work, like the prime minister says, I want X, Y, Z doing, they go away and do it. They stay the same regardless of who comes in, regardless of the policy. Whereas in America, everybody changes.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, they have to clear out their desks and everything, and then new guys come in. So there must be, I mean, obviously that's why in the UK you can change PM day by day. They can just move out and move in. Whereas in America, they need a few months to hand over, transition. It has to happen because everybody who's actually doing the jobs gets changed.
Yeah.
But then the people in the UK, in the civil service, they have to be totally apolitical. They're not allowed to show any bias. They have to do what their ministers ask them to do, but they are also there to say, are you sure you want to do that? Let me present you some different data, to make sure the ministers are informed.
Yeah. I think they're the professionals involved in running the country on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Whereas the politicians are making sort of high-level sort of executive decisions. They're the people who have to sort of implement it and make it work.
Yeah.
And they're professionals. Most of them have been doing the job for 30, 40 years, so they kind of know what they're doing, hopefully. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whereas, I don't know, do you think... I mean, this is just me being biased. I mean, the UK has a new Labour government, and they have new ministers of state responsible for health, defence, education. None of those people who hold that position have any experience of doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Not necessarily true.
Okay.
Not necessarily true. Yeah. I think Wes Streeting, who is the new Minister for NHS and the Health, he actually went through some serious, I think he had cancer or something. He had some serious, so he's actually been in the system and had lots and lots of treatment and whatever as an NHS patient. So, he's seen it from the consumer side.
Okay.
So, they have tried this time to put the right people in the right position, not like traditionally. But I understand your point of view. How can you have 40 years of experience in, military, being in charge of the army, and then be a politician? You're either one or the other. You can't be both.
Okay. Yeah.
However,
yeah,
my key point, I think, is the fact that if you've got a new government coming in of a different political party, because the civil service doesn't change, do things really change?
Yeah, I mean that was kind of my point as well. Yeah, the civil service is there to sort of make sure that even during the transition period between one government and another, things just carry on. It's the policies, the high level sort of policies and ideas that the politicians bring to the table that are going to change. Yeah.
So, would you want the job of PM?
No.
Would you want the job of...
No, I can't really understand, not in the modern world, why anybody would want to be president of the United States.
I think it's fame. If you look at the president of the United States, I mean, they're all people with money. You can't do it unless you're a millionaire. Yeah. Because you need the money.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. Whereas I think in the British system, especially looking at the new Labour set of ministers, a huge majority of them just went to normal comprehensive schools. They're not come from rich families. Yeah. And I think you can be a normal person in the street and get into government in the UK. Whereas in America...
You have to be born into the right family,
or silver spoon in your mouth.
Yeah, or you have to have sort of new money and the contacts.
Ronald Reagan, an actor.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump, he's got lots of money, and they're saying, oh, he's a businessman. Well, his dad gave him most of his money, and if you look at a lot of his businesses, they've failed.
Yeah.
It's just that money makes money.
Yeah. He's Donald Trump he did the Apprentice in America, didn't he? We had in the UK Alan Sugar, yeah.
Charismatic.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, but Alan Sugar was
normal guy.
He was a normal guy, but he actually was at one point, and I think it was David Cameron when he was Prime Minister, gave him his lordship, and sent him to the House of Lords and asked him to be the business minister, the business czar, or whatever. So Alan Sugar. Yeah, I mean, Alan Sugar only got that opportunity because he was very successful in business. Yeah. He made billions. Yeah. He's not maybe as famous as Donald Trump, but he made billions in business.
It's inside the Alan Sugar biography, inside the front page. He or I don't know if it's the front page, but within it, he makes the suggestion that all old age pensioners should be sent to prison and all prisoners should be sent to old age people homes. And the reason why he says is if old age pensioners go to prison, they will get checked on every 20 minutes. They will get all their laundry done. They'll get free access to training and TV and entertainment.
And excellent healthcare.
Excellent healthcare, yeah. They'll be nice, safe and secure. They'll get regular visits from people in a nice, organised way.
Yeah.
Whereas when all the prisoners go to an old people's home, they will get neglected. They will get terrible food. They won't be able to get any medical treatment. And he's got a point. He has got a point.
Yeah.
Which is awful.
It's awful that it's true. Yeah. Anyway. So, American presidents being assassinated, apparently, and I hadn't really realised it, it's kind of like it's a regular thing. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah, good expression, rite of passage.
Yeah.
What do you think there's going to be the result now for Trump? Because I will be honest, it ran through my brain, and I'm probably totally wrong, but I've got to, it goes through my brain. I can't stop my brain from thinking. And my brain thought, I wonder whether Donald Trump paid the guy to shoot him to get the sympathy vote.
Okay. Yeah. It's a long
I hope I'm wrong.
It's
I
a long
really
shot, right?
do, but
you would have to have I'm going to say balls of steel, okay?
He has.
To pay somebody to take a shot at you.
He pays anybody to do anything.
Yeah, but and trust that person to not kill you.
No, because it was a sniper rifle, and if this guy was a professional trained sniper, he would know where to shoot exactly. And
yeah,
I mean, the guy got shot afterwards. We're never going to know.
Ah, yeah. So
that's conspiracy theory.
Yeah. So now you're just starting conspiracies.
Yeah, but there's conspiracy theories around John F. Kennedy, isn't there? There's,
of course there is. Yeah. I mean, Trump was, I suppose, the modern sort of king of conspiracy theories.
Maybe it was the Russians. They think it was the Russians behind JFK, don't they?
Or the CIA, or was it the Cubans? Who knows? Yeah. I don't know. What amazes me, I think America, people still talk about America as being the greatest country in the world and blah, 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 blah. What amazes me about America is how stupid the country is.
That's a bit strong.
Maybe, but I don't know. How crazy they are as people.
They do come across as crazy.
Yeah.
But maybe to us, maybe to other people, they just come across as flamboyant. Yeah, you don't know. It's just our perspective.
Yeah.
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 But I mean, basically, the job of being the president, are you willing to have people shoot at you? I mean, if you're a millionaire, maybe people are going to shoot at you anyway.
Yeah. But
we'll see Elon Musk doing it next or something. I don't know, Jeff Bezos or...
Yeah. Maybe. I could see that in 10, 15 years.
Yeah. But what will happen with Trump? I mean, they're predicting it'll be a big bump in his ratings. So it means that they're going to definitely have to find somebody stronger than Joe Biden to run it. The question is, why are we interested in American politics? I think you have to be, because whoever's in there influences things that go on in the rest of the world. They're talking particularly with NATO, with Trump, which affects world security, world peace. So you've got to keep your eye on what they're doing across the pond. Okay,
okay. Can I correct you?
Yes.
NATO doesn't affect world peace at all. It affects peace in Europe.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't fall into the trap that Americans have, where they believe America is the world. Yeah. Europe is a small part of the globe.
Yeah.
Yeah. NATO affects security for us in Europe.
Yeah.
Nowhere else.
Okay.
Yeah. What happens in Europe might have repercussions around the world.
Yeah.
But it's security for us in Europe.
My point is, Donald Trump wants to either get everybody who's a member of NATO upping their defence spending,
which is good for business, More countries spending more money on defence, buying new weapons and training people.
Where's the money come from?
Well, where does any money come from?
Taxes got to go up. But then he's also talking about coming out of NATO. And then NATO are going to be in trouble because America puts up most of the money.
Yeah. Yeah, but then...
I mean, there's even been talking that it's going to be the end of NATO if Trump gets in and decides to leave.
That wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, because that would sort of force Europe to come together to form its own defence pact. You know, Europe, ATO, or whatever you want to call it. But there's also another way of thinking about that is America believes that its military dominance, and it is the most dominant military force in the world still. Maybe China, countries like that. But there was another theory that although Trump's saying everyone has to pay more into NATO, that America doesn't really want a strong European army, because that means that there's somebody to stand up to America. Do you see what I mean?
Right. So are you saying, let's take the broad picture. So you're saying if Donald Trump gets voted in as president and then opts out America out of NATO, that will force Europe to create their own defence force, which will be good for the economy.
That'd be good for Europe.
Yeah. And even if Donald Trump gets in and enforces every country, or tries to force the hand that every country has to pay more into NATO, that will also be good for economy.
Yeah. And
boost business. And so the normal worker in the street will be better off either way if Donald Trump gets in.
Don't let Donald Trump hear you say that, because that's a line he was going to use. Yeah, vote for me and Europe will be a better place.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare, isn't it?
It is a nightmare. You're right. There are global repercussions for whoever is in the president of America, but the same can be said for other strong countries around the world. Look at the Vladimir Putin. Whoever holds that office can do things that have a global effect. Mm-hmm. China.
Be careful here. You might be putting yourself on an assassination list here.
See if they can find me first. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think people need to have a think about whether they want to be the the president of America. But you have to be born in America, don't you?
Yeah.
That's why Arnold Schwarzenegger only got as far as the governor of California, because he was born in Austria.
Yeah.
So he couldn't run to be
the president.
The president was such a shame, because I would have voted for him.
What, you would have become an American citizen just to vote
for Arnold Schwarzenegger? I like Arnie.
Yeah. But no, it's not just do they want to be the president of America. Would they want to be the president or prime minister of their own country?
Yeah.
I think it's such a tough job.
Yeah. Stressful.
And let's face it, you don't come out of that job after 10, 15, however many years you do that job for, and everything's nice and happy and rosy. You only end up leaving that job because things have gone bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. They all get ousted out, don't they?
Yeah. Ousted out either by your friends.
Friends.
Yeah.
Paul's putting his fingers up and doing speech marks as if saying,
Yeah, the people that stab you in the back. Or
Brutus.
Yeah, or you're ousted by people who said you've done such a bad job in government, we're going to vote for someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
You've got to have an ego the size of a mountain, haven't you, to do the job?
Yeah.
And you've got to have thick skin and no chips on your shoulder.
Yeah. It would suit me down to the ground, to be honest.
I was just thinking that, Paul. I was just thinking that.
I mean, my ego knows no bounds, really. So.
No, what is it? You say, you're right?
To save time, let's just assume I'm right. In fact, I'm always right. There was one time I thought I was wrong, but it actually turned out I was right.
So that's going to be the motto of every single podcast we do. We're going to say that at the end. All right. We better go.
Bye. Thanks for listening. We hope you liked our podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe and stay connected with us. Until next time, goodbye.